Some may be thinking maybe he's being metaphorical, maybe he's being spiritual. I'm not being spiritual, I'm not being metaphorical, I'm not being religious. I'm being completely skeptical, completely rational. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. There's no hesitation. There's no, but maybe there's nothing. Consciousness is God. The question is, what do we mean by consciousness and what do we mean by God? Well, we could define consciousness as the fact of being aware. We could define consciousness as the aware aspect of experience, the essentially you. We could define God as the source of reality. You could define God as, and how I define God is the source of reality, the stuff all things are made of. Think about it. God must be the source of everything. There can't be something separate from God. So God is reality. God would be the stuff reality is made of, even if we're experiencing an illusory reality, even if we're experiencing a dream, a psychedelic trip. There is always a reality to that experience. There is something that experience has emanated from, and that experience is inevitably made of. So I would define God as the substance and the source of reality, that which creates the entirety of anything that exists. It is existence, pure existence itself. Consciousness, therefore, being the only thing that experience can be made of, namely because of the fact that there is absolutely nothing that can be experienced without consciousness. Consciousness must be the substance of all experience. Now, tell me, is consciousness, does the knowing element of your experience have a size, a shape, a form, a color? Or is the knowing aspect of your experience just pure, undivided knowing? Because if it is pure, undivided knowing, then it can't exist in time and space. Could you contain the knowing element of your experience? Can you put it can you chop it into pieces and put it in a stir fry? Could you put it over here and then put it over there? Or is awareness, consciousness, the knowing aspect of all experience, therefore everything is experienced within it? Obviously, you can't contain consciousness. It doesn't have a size or shape. It's formless. So it exists absolute. Its existence is absolute, which means that it is undeniably real, right? It's the substance you can't take away from experience. The source of experience, therefore, must be consciousness. So if the source of experience is consciousness, the awareness of experience, the next question to ask is it real? Is the aware aspect of experience real? In other words, are you real? Are you real? Ask yourself that question. You would obviously say yes. Do you exist? You know you exist. It's self-evident. And are you aware? Yes. You're aware, you are real, and you exist. Now, for something to be real, think of this for a moment. For something to be real, it has to stand alone against all changing experience. It has to be fundamentally, ultimately real. It has to be essentially reality itself. It can't be real now and not later. It can't be here now and not later. It can't be real yesterday and not today. It can't be real for me and not for you. It can't be real for a fly and not for a cat. It has to be real, period. It can't be fake. It can't be temporary. It can't be limited. It can't be finite. So the question is consciousness temporary, limited, finite? Well, we know it's not. But if we are consciousness, then we're obviously not temporary, limited, and finite. Now, let me ask you this. How many temporary, limited, and unfinite things can there be? There can't be many. I would suggest there can't be any. But there is. And the fact that there is shows that there is a source of reality. If there is a source of reality, that means that that source must be the thing that everything else emanates from. In the same way that when you go to dream at night, your dream is an emanation from your mind. Likewise, the entirety of all things must be an emanation from something. From what? Well, from the one thing that cannot be taken away from experience, which is simply the awareness of it. If there was a God in a cloud, its experience would have to be made of awareness. For it to have an experience, it has to be aware of it. If there was to be entities in a DMT realm, their experience would have to be made of awareness. There's nothing you can experience without awareness. If we were to go to an alien on Mars or on the other side of the universe, all experience, no matter what it is, has to be made of awareness. In other words, awareness is the one fundamental, whether it's made of awareness or not. I don't care about that yet. Whether it's made of awareness or not, it has to include awareness. This is the point. So if all experience has to include awareness in order for it to be aware, in order for there to be experience at all, we have to see that awareness is fundamental to experience. It is fundamental by definition. That's not me making that up as a theory, that's a fact, right? Consciousness is unlimited. Everything must be a derivative from consciousness, I quote from him. And he's not wrong. It doesn't take a genius like a contemporary of Einstein, Max Planck, to come up with that. You are equally qualified. It's the nature of your own experience. You are equally qualified to inquire into the nature of your experience. You don't need to have a degree. You don't have to have a doctorate to ask yourself questions. And this is the problem. This is the world that we live in. We think that degrees and we think we have to have some type of quality. By nature of being alive, you are qualified to inquire into the nature of your own existence. By nature of being interested, you are overqualified to be the leading authority over your own existence. So if we can see that reality cannot be separated from consciousness, some people might disagree. No. Consciousness is not fundamental. When we pass out, we go to sleep, we lose consciousness. No, we don't. We don't lose consciousness. Think of it like this. Are you real? Yes, you fucking are. You can't deny that. If there is reality, it must be present in all experience. We must face that fact. If there is to be any reality at all, it must be present in all experience. So if it is present in experience, we must be able to access it now. Therefore, whatever reality is present all the time. Even if it's an illusory world, even if we're in an illusory dream, there is a reality to it that is experiential, that we can recognize. And as we've seen, consciousness is the one aspect that even if there is an illusory experience, the awareness of it is not illusory. The awareness of it is consistently real. And you cannot take it away. You can't have an experience without it. And you are awareness. If you are awareness, and you are an intelligence, and you are experiencing, and awareness cannot be taken away from experience, then what else could experience be made of? You can't make something, namely the body and the mind, that is born and dies, that is temporary, limited, finite, exists in time and space, cannot produce a substance that is infinite. It cannot produce a substance that is the fabric of all experience. It's impossible. Do you see the absurdity of that? And we get science saying that it comes from matter. Matter is literally, if you didn't know, a word used to describe an imaginary substance that we actually I'm not exaggerating, that we assume exists. We assume it exists because we can perceive something. So we assume that something is made of something, which would be true. But we assume it's made of a solid, dense, temporary, limited, finite substance that we're assuming exists apart from consciousness, and that consciousness is made of that illusory substance that we've never found. Do you see the absolute ludicrousy of that? And then we claim that the very substance that is the substance of all experience, because experience could not be experienced without it, is subject to this temporary, limited body and mind that we've never found the substance of? Could it be that we're looking in the wrong direction? Could it be that the very substance that we're avoiding, namely consciousness, is actually the substance that we cannot find? It would make sense. It would make sense simply because we cannot know consciousness. So if we can't know consciousness, it would make sense the stuff we're looking for, which, by the way, we cannot know because we can't find it, is made of the very stuff that cannot be known. Therefore, consciousness is the source of reality, and the source of reality is God. In other words, you are God, I am God, there is only God. There is only God in existence. There is only God godding itself. There's God being God. That's all this is. There is just infinite God experiencing God. There is nothing else to it than that. And the crazy, ludicrous ideas that we have on this earth, they are built on a very small period, I believe, a very small period, almost like if you think of a trend, when those t-shirts were in trend and they were had 3 buttons and a neon neck, and then daps, that was a trend. This whole model of matter is also a trend. It's like a universal trend that is derived from the belief in separation. And we will gradually move out of that. We have to. It's not like we have to. It will happen. And it'll happen because the model of reality that we've built is false and it causes immense suffering. And I don't mean that lightly. It causes immense suffering. All of your suffering is born of the belief that you are not what you actually are. It's born of the belief that you are separate from reality. It's born of the belief that something that is infinitely real, something that ultimately exists, is limited and subject to something that doesn't exist, namely the body and the mind. For something to ultimately exist, it has to be real independently of everything else. Obviously, the body and mind are not real independently of everything else. The minute it dies, it's gone. It goes to dust again. It goes into God knows what, right? It's not ultimately real, just like last night's dream isn't ultimately real. So all of your suffering is down to this one belief. All the suffering of the world is down to this one belief. The belief that we are separate from everything. Consciousness is God, and you are consciousness. Do with that what you will. I seen a funny quote the other day where termites talking about wood. Yeah, we are. We're termites made of wood, roaming around in wood, talking about wood, being wood. That's the end of this video. Take care, guys. Bye.